Hello, and welcome to Rise of the Gay Cinephiles, the show where we, two gay cinephiles, talk shit about all the latest things we've been watching and other hot topics. I'm Gary.
And I'm Chris.
And if you don't recognise us, then you've never listened to Horror Cult Trash Over. We were Horror Cult Trash Over for 5 whole years. A show that discussed, as we said at the start of every episode, masterpieces and trash pieces within genre cinema. And we fancied a change, didn't we?
Yes. Rest in peace, Horror Cult Trash Over. We loved you to bits. But from the ashes of Horror Cult Trash Over rises Rise of the Gay Cinephiles. Yeah. You see what we did there? It's like Planet of the Apes.
It is, yeah. So stay tuned for Dawn of the Gay Cinephiles next. That'll get interesting when we get to war.
We were thinking, first tangent, but we were thinking of titles and we were like, from the movies, we do Night of the Living Cinephiles, Night of the Gay Cinephiles, and Dawn of the Gay Cinephiles, and I think we're more Diary of the Gay Cinephiles. Pretty
much. But what we're going to do here with this new show is we're not just talking about horror, cult and trash films with a slight over every now and then. We're constantly in the other, but we're discussing film, TV, and just pop culture in general. In genera. I was mixed up genre and genre. Great start. Here we go.
I thought you were going for genitals.
In general, we were discussing pop culture and other hot topics as well, with a certain amount of sections that we have within the episode, and we just hope you enjoy what we've got planned. Once we get into it, it's going to be pretty self-explanatory.
Yeah, just listen. It's fine. Whereas with Horror Cult Trash Over, we went really in depth on a certain film or certain films. We're not going to go that in depth now. So if you haven't watched these films, you're not going to get major spoilers necessarily, and we obviously will tell you before any kind of spoilers. But get some nice recommendations from us and such, because we're gay cinephiles. We have incredible taste.
Exactly. And starting off, we are going to dive into a section that's been a long time coming, because it's been a subject to many tangents on our previous show. But now we have an entire section for it where we can discuss it every week, and we would like to welcome you to Housewives and Drag Queens Corner. And a spoiler alert is in effect for this section.
Yes, so if you watch Real Housewives on Bravo or Hey You here in the UK, then there will be some spoilers for you.
There will be.
If you have absolutely no idea who we're talking about,
and this is going to make no difference.
This is going to be very confusing, but it might push you to watch the shows because they're high camp. They're so much fun, so silly generally. Although they do get a little dark, some of them. They do get real serious, some of them. And then, obviously, Drag Race. Every good gay loves a bit of Drag Race.
Yes.
But we will be discussing who is eliminated each episode.
We will.
So.
So we're currently watching Real Housewives of Beverly Hills and Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. Admittedly, we've been terrible gays this week, and we haven't watched this episode of Beverly Hills just yet. Someone online, and I don't know who it is, but I'm going to say it, and I would love to give you a credit, but I cannot find the account again. But someone else said this other than me, so this wasn't invented by me. But someone said that currently Salt Lake City is a treat, it's like a fun time, and Beverly Hills is like doing your homework. And now that we have a podcast that discusses Housewives in a section, that couldn't be more true.
Yeah.
But we can talk a bit about where we're at up until this week's episode. Because I don't think much will have changed. It's just been the Kyle and Dorit show.
It has. Kyle is acting very peculiar, I feel. And I never thought I would sit here and tell you that I'm Team Dorit on anything. But I am. Because Kyle is not admitting that the messages are weird.
No.
I feel like if you don't know the show, that's going to make no sense. But Dorit is getting divorced from PK. PK is, as far as I know, only business is being Boy George's manager. I don't know what else they do. But Dorit is getting divorced from PK. PK's been alright dick about it. But Kyle, who is really downplaying her friendship with Dorit, is messaging PK. I don't think in a salacious way. I don't think Kyle and PK are romantically or sexually linked in any way whatsoever. But it seems like Kyle is not admitting that the messages seem kind of snaky. They seem weird because she's saying, oh, anything that we've discussed doesn't go any further. No, she's trying to say that's about the producers of the show, yeah? But out of context, it sounds like it's, I'm not going to repeat anything you've said about Dorit to Dorit.
Yeah.
And everyone is like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it's weird. It's not always the most fun to watch because it's just going around in circles. There doesn't seem to be a resolution. Maybe it's happened on a new episode I haven't watched this week, but it just seems to be the way forward with this season. Whereas you got someone like Bose, who's new and is relentlessly entertaining to watch. I feel she needs more screen time.
Love Bose. She's got some fantastic charisma. She really comes across well on the show. Love her fashion sense. She is firmly Team Dorit. So
yeah.
she's come into this, and they all say, you know, I'm coming into this completely fresh. Some of them say, I haven't watched the show. You've watched the show. You have your preconceived notions and opinions based on what you've seen. I don't think anybody has joined the Real Housewives and not seen the show.
It would be a strange thing to do.
It would be incredibly weird. You would sit down and you would.
Then again, I mean, do we think Jennifer Tilly has watched it?
Yeah, of course. I mean,
because, you wouldn't know from watching her on the show.
The problem, and we love Jennifer Tilly, but the problem with Jennifer Tilly that I'm having is that she's not really getting into the thick of it.
No.
And we've seen her fabulous lifestyle.
Mm-hmm.
We've seen some incredible fashion. And, I mean, she could do anything and I'd be enamoured with her. You know, I pray to the ground that she walks on. I absolutely adore Jennifer Tilly. But, come on, get in there. Have some opinions. Start, you know, actually saying something. And the problem I think she's having is that Sutton is being really kind of annoying. Mm-hmm. But she is Sutton's friend.
Yeah.
And Sutton saying, oh, we're a sisterhood. And one night saying we're a sisterhood and tying their hands together in a bow.
Yeah.
And then the next evening, she's coming for Dorit out of nowhere. And she's saying, well, you need to act like that and you need to do this. Well, she's not being a sister.
It's a strange turnaround because I was fully Sutton, Team Sutton up until this season. But she hasn't done herself any favours. And also, the moment that Dorit lit that cigarette,
yeah,
you knew that was it.
It's
like,
true.
Everyone's on her side.
Apparently a lot of them smoke like chimneys, but they just caught that one on camera. It was too iconic.
But a show that's more enjoyable to watch. The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, season 5. We're on 5 now, aren't we?
Season 5.
Season 5 has been one of the best shows on TV. Like,
incredible.
It's ridiculous. Angie K has been on top form. The introduction of Brittany, so entertaining. Bronwyn. It's just a show that just can't fail. Like, there's just so much to enjoy there. Lisa Barlow is on another planet, as always.
Queen of Sundance.
The Queen of Sundance. I mean, there's been so many highlights. And probably the biggest highlight for me was Brittany's "What About Me" moment at the breakfast at Tiffany's. It was just Audrey Hepburn, wasn't it?
It was Audrey Hepburn.
Hepburn dinner with Meredith's.
Do you know what I'd like to see? I'd like to see a Catherine Hepburn dinner. I'd like everyone to walk up with a nice pantsuit on and put on a weird mid-Atlantic accent for everyone. That's what I'd like to see.
Future Housewife season.
I think so.
But it's just... It's just a show that I've never seen a bad episode of it. It's just, it never fails. I think if you were just getting into Housewives, this is the perfect place to start.
I think it reiterates something that I thought for a very long time, is that religious people are quite strange.
Yeah.
But their strangeness, as long as they're not being absolute douchebags to people, as long as they're being douchebags to each other, is quite compelling.
It is.
It's really incredible TV. It's so camp. It's absolutely laugh out loud hilarious at times. But also kind of heartwarming, so it's not the word for it.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll go that far.
But also kind of, you know, I'm speaking probably of Mary Cosby's
As Mary
story
Cosby
with her
and her son, yeah, that's been very...
And my opinion on Mary Cosby changes a lot.
Yeah.
I do like Mary Cosby, and I've
Something
liked
has
her
clicked this season with her.
But I've always sort of... with her son, there's always seemed to be maybe something that he's been hiding, and it's become apparent on the show. And it turns out that he has been dealing with a drug addiction, and depression, and it was a really touching scene, really sort of beautiful scene. And the cynical part of me was like, why is this happening on camera? But then I thought, actually, this is probably the realest the Real Housewives get.
But I found during the reunion, and obviously, you know, this is this week's episode, and the latest we'd have seen was the reunion part 2. Specifically talking about that when this is brought up, is Mary's honesty about wanting it on camera.
Yeah.
And that's actually very refreshing to have that sort of honesty on Real Housewives, because you don't know how much is just put on for the camera, but this is genuinely sincere, and like she said, you know, if getting that out there could help someone else, then
absolutely.
So be it.
Yeah, really, really touching moment, really beautiful, and you know, obviously we hope that he's gotten and will get the help that he needs and such. But yeah, going back to what we're saying about the Real Housewives, we understand. Put a camera in front of anyone, they're not going to be natural.
No.
Stick a camera in front of me at any given time, and I'm gonna know the camera's there.
Yeah.
That isn't asking for a hidden camera.
I know.
But yeah, but it's fully entertaining. However much is real or not real, however much money they have or don't have, I really couldn't care less.
Do you have any highlights specifically from this week's reunion? I know, obviously, the husbands.
Meredith's been getting on my tits. She's really getting on my nerves.
But entertaining to watch.
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, her little thing in the back of the Sprinter van where she looked like she was in a rap video was hilarious when Brittany was doing some recording. But usually when it comes to Real Housewives, when the husbands are involved, I'm just like, oh, please get it over and done with. Just yawn fast. Particularly with New Jersey. But this was entertaining. I mean, especially because they ended up getting messy themselves this season.
Very messy.
You know, obviously, I mean, very little of the husbands are likeable. But Meredith's husband claiming he was so drunk throughout that entire day when he called Whitney a biatch. How is that an excuse? And this is, no apology there, really.
It's Meredith's victim mentality. Like, she's always at the receiving end of these things. She's always the victim in these situations. And it's all, well, I wouldn't have done that if you hadn't have done this.
Yeah.
You know, he wouldn't have called you a biatch if you hadn't have done this, that, and the other. And not acknowledging that he could have gone about it a different way.
Yeah.
Which is, don't scream biatch in, you know, someone's face when their husband's like right there. You know, it's
John Barlow versus
John Barlow.
Whitney's husband was quite amusing. What was her husband's name?
Oh God, Justin.
Yeah. That was entertaining.
I just find it so hilariously funny that these laugh out loud, scream out loud moments on Salt Lake City. In one episode, it's based around circle jerks and a three-way with John Barlow getting jerked off. You can't write that shit. You cannot write that shit.
You can't. The entire finale.
Whitney knew exactly what she was doing.
Absolute mess that was. A hot mess. I mean, everyone reading each other's texts. There's no way that was going to end well. But that is why we watch Real Housewives. We want to see messy shit.
And that's why Heather Gay, despite being equally as annoying as Meredith, needs to stay. She's messy.
You can never get rid of Heather Gay after receipts, proof, timeline, screenshots. That is one of the most iconic moments in Housewives history. And it kind of worried me. Like, I thought, how are we going to top that with season 5?
Yeah.
That is one of the most iconic finales from any show. It's so cinematic, and I would watch it any day.
Season 6, would you bring back the same cast?
Yes. Absolutely.
Including Brittany.
Absolutely. Make Brittany a housewife. Oh my god.
Really?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, look at how she is now, just as a friend of. Could you imagine if she was a full housewife?
Does that mean Jared Osmond would be a...
Who
Brittany's
knows?
big thing
Who
is
knows
that she's in an on-off relationship with the nephew of Donnie and Marie Osmond, who I think is seen as sort of royalty in the Mormon circles. So she's really been very desperate for screen time.
She has, bless her, yeah.
And she's been, and if you follow her on TikTok as well, she's messy.
Yeah.
In a hilarious way. I do think she needs to stop screeching in airports, though. That might get her put on some sort of no-fly list. I mean, she needs to be careful with that. But yeah, we've got the final part of the reunion this week, so we'll fill you in on that next.
Yeah.
But we've got Atlanta coming up soon, so we'll have to watch that. Potomac is finished. New York is finished or finishing. We didn't watch.
Yeah, don't expect us to sit through any seasons of the New York.
No, we gave it a go. But yeah, we might have to for our homework.
Oh god. Well, we also have drag queens to talk about.
Yes,
and we are currently on episode 5 of RuPaul's Drag Race season 17.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's been fine.
I think it's been okay. I think it's a very young cast, and I think I think the queens are aware that they're fighting for their moment.
I think we're 17 seasons in.
Yeah.
And that's just one version of Drag Race. That's just the American one. 17 seasons amongst a huge IP now. Like, there's Drag Race everywhere, and it's great to see. It's great to see it so mainstream. But with that, you get queens that are aware of what Drag Race is and what they're going into, and you get drag queens trying to be drag queens from Drag Race. And it's why I think the UK one's refreshing sometimes, is because you see that sort of seaside... Oh, hey up, love, drag queen.
Yeah.
You know, but I find the American one is very much, they know what they're doing, they know what they're going in for. But with that being said, there are some highlights. I mean, Susie Toot is my favourite so far. Which... Who's your favourite so far?
Susie Toot.
Yeah.
Susie Toot.
So then we're both on the same page with why this week's episode was so disappointing.
Yes.
Breaking it down, again, spoiler warnings in place. So, we had the caveman sketch.
Yeah.
With RP...
So it's RDR Live.
RDR
so
Live.
It's their take on SNL Live. No, SN Live.
SNL Live. SNL.
Because that would be SNL Live.
Saturday Night Live.
Saturday Night Live, yeah. SNL Live. Have I been calling it SNL Live?
SNL Live.
So that's Saturday Night
Live.
Live. Oh, how embarrassing. Oh, shit.
Ladies, gentlemen, gays and nays, we're British.
Yeah. Yeah, Saturday Night Live.
Not something we're proud of,
it doesn't
but we're British.
Translate. I've never found it funny. Apart from apart from the Debbie Downer sketches,
And
they
tomorrow
always
night,
crack me up.
Tomorrow night we're watching Saturday Night.
Yeah.
But hey, maybe that'll add to our enjoyment.
But in the
we don't know anything about it.
In the UK, that just sounds like the Wigfield story.
It does. But yeah, RDR Live challenge. A challenge that... Yeah.
It was shit last time.
It was shit. It's better this time, but
Yes.
slightly.
Mm-hmm.
Breaking it down, we had the caveman sketch. We had the one with the beaver jokes.
Yeah.
The news segments, the doctor segments.
Yes.
And then the wraparound as well. The caveman sketch I found pretty dull.
I didn't find it funny.
But I did enjoy On Your Nerve.
Love On Your Nerve. My second favourite.
Yeah, the brief hosting scenes I thought On Your Nerve's really charismatic.
She was great at that. Yeah, really, really a natural at doing that. Yeah, absolutely.
What I didn't expect to think was the best one was the beaver jokes one, because Hormona Lisa talk about redemption.
Yeah.
Getting
Hormona
there.
Lisa was great during that. One thing about RuPaul is you get a sense of RuPaul's sense of humour.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't think RuPaul is writing the challenges, but you get a sense of that kind of humour that she has. Very old school.
Yeah.
So, how long was it? Like 4-5 minutes of beaver jokes over and over again?
Yeah.
I mean, I could feel RuPaul just loving it. Oh, it's a pun. Oh, it's... Yeah, because beaver also means vagina. I was like, oh, this, that...
Yeah.
Like, I get it.
Uh-huh.
Beaver, vagina, I understand.
But it was...
Give me something else.
Yeah. I mean, it was still better than the news segment, where...
I didn't get that.
Susie actually, again, spoiler, won this week. And I'd love to see Susie winning, but the fuck? Like... I mean...
I don't know if it's an SNL thing.
It was just cringe.
But she never really... I don't know where she was looking. It looked like she was reading off a teleprompter.
Yeah.
It was giving... The script was, I think, cringe. And it usually is in these challenges. And I think a lot of the time, it's a case of who gets the best script.
I think so. And...
Unless they really fuck it up.
Yeah.
Which somebody
much
does.
like the doctor segment.
Specifically Lydia Butthole Collins,
who was they're giving Golden Girls impressions to do essentially, and the Blanche impression, who was
Acacia Forgot.
Not terrible.
No,
you can tell she'd watched Drag Race.
Acacia Forgot,
Golden Girls.
Acacia Forgot has a 80s thing. She has a mullet, out of drag, and she has all. Very shoulder paddy dynasty sort of outfit. So she absolutely knew Blanche, knew the character of Blanche, looked like Blanche. It was good. It was good.
But that Sophia impression,
terrible.
Really,
Lydia B. Collins had absolutely no idea who Sophia Petrillo was. Didn't know the Golden Girls, but said, "I want to do this because it sounds like it's a winning performance on paper. Reading it, this is good, and I think I could win with this," because she fought for that role as well.
She did.
And my issue is, as a huge Golden Girls fan, my issue is it was terrible. Because she had no idea what she was referencing.
No,
I actually think Susie too, and it probably didn't say on paper, but I thought, oh, it's just a Fran Drescher, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like a Fran Drescher sort of role, or she made it into Fran Drescher.
Yeah.
But I actually feel like she knew who Fran Drescher was. Such a shame, because I love the Golden Girls.
Runway, my favourite look was Lexi Love. The leopard print with the pink eyes.
Yeah, I liked that. I actually really liked Arietti's look. I think Arietti has some fantastic looks.
Yeah.
And that's all.
Acacia Forgot, it really wasn't her week. I mean, the bad wig and the fine outfit just...
Is that 80s?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I understand what you're going for, and I like it, but it's not
Oh no, Acacia Forgot did better, yeah, but well, the runway wasn't it?
Yeah. But it's I know what you're going. And it's probably what I would end up doing on Drag Race. Is that my references are quite garish.
Yeah.
So it's like when it doesn't look great, but it's meant to not look great, or it's meant to look very 80s and not very stylish. Do you know what I mean? Like, yeah, you know what I mean.
I know what you mean. And of course, the lip sync was between Ariete and Lydia to Boogie Wonderland by Earth, Wind and Fire and New Motions, and it was just meh.
The problem is you have some queens on this season who are very confident, because being very confident after playing Jane from the year previous gets you a lot of attention.
Yeah.
And it's you are fighting as much for attention as you are the prize.
Yeah.
Yeah. So because there are so many, like 17 seasons now, and I've watched it since season 1. There are 17 seasons, hundreds of Ru girls out there.
Yeah.
All fighting for those same slots. There's only so many gay bars in the world. And they're all fighting for that same slot. So you have to be the most memorable one.
True.
That doesn't necessarily mean winning.
No.
You have to be the most memorable one.
Yeah.
And I think Ariete has gone in with a... not a persona, but a confidence, should I say. Has gone in with a confidence that makes her stand out.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it also means the fall is much harder.
It is.
And more embarrassing.
Yeah.
Because she ends up in the bottom because her looks, phenomenal.
Yeah.
Her acting and her comedy, abysmal.
Yeah. Well, she was saved.
She was
She was going, but she was saved by the badonkadunk stupid fucking lever gimmick. But thank God that lever gimmick is now over.
Yeah,
it's
and
done.
This is RuPaul's sense of humour again. Very old school. Very well. I mean, this season started with pies in the face.
Yeah.
And it's this badonkadunk tank Michelle, who always looks absolutely phenomenal in her bathing suits. I mean, stunning. But she goes into the water and it's all very slapstick.
Yeah.
And it's maybe a comedy that's maybe a bit too old for...
I don't think it's that because
like an MTV audience. I mean,
potentially
it's on MTV.
I mean, we appreciate that sort of humour.
Oh, absolutely.
But it's the idea of it for me. The idea that someone could be saved when they've been sent home. It kind of renders it pointless.
Overproduced because Ariete gives them a fantastic looks, and next week is the ball.
Yeah.
And she's probably going to win the ball because she is a phenomenal look queen.
Yeah.
Really fantastic. But. I just see the struggle with the comedy and the acting, and she's probably going to go at Snatch Game, or she's going to redeem herself at Snatch Game and win the whole thing.
Yeah. Well,
who knows?
Who knows? You can find out some more next time on Housewives and Drag Queens Corner. Next up, we have a little section that we like to call Shelf Love. And that's not South Love said like Sean Connery. It's Shelf Love as in shelves for Blu-rays. That's the pun. We will be talking in this section about all the latest physical media releases that have been released recently. From 88 Films, we've had Story of a Closeted Nun on Blu-ray. Part of the Italian collection, I believe. Cloistered?
Cloistered Nun.
Is it really? I thought it was closeted.
No.
Oh my god, could you imagine?
Cloistered Nun. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. And I'm not going to lie to our listeners.
No.
I'm going to look at what cloistered means.
Yeah. Not closeted.
Means separated from the outside world.
Well, that makes more sense.
Or living in a monastery or nunnery.
I just thought she was a lesbian that couldn't come out because she's a nun.
I swear it isn't. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna second guess myself. It's cloistered nun.
Fantastic. Criterion released JoJo Dancer, Your Life is Calling on 4K. Arrow released The Gift on 4K. BFI released High and Low and Stray Dog on 4K.
Ooh.
But a specific spotlight from us is Severin's release of Russ Meyer's Vixens trilogy, which includes Vixens, Super Vixens, Beneath the Valley of the Ultra Vixens, and a shout out goes to AIM Publicity for sending them to us.
Yeah, congratulations on getting these out on Blu-ray.
Well, I mean 4K.
4K, excuse me. Yeah, the Arrow videos DVD releases from many, many, many years ago are going for ridiculous amounts on eBay.
Yeah.
So I'm so pleased that these are being released.
I was going to ask you, actually, would you like to say a bit about Russ Meyer? Because, I mean, you introduced me to Russ Meyer. I know that the passion is definitely there and was just passed on to me.
Well, I haven't seen all of his films because they've been so difficult to get hold of. But Faster Pussycat Kill Kill is one of my favourite films of all time. We covered it on Horror Cult Trash Over.
Yeah.
Those episodes are still available.
Yep. Go into the season 1 section of this
Absolutely.
podcast.
So we covered it, and I told you the millions of ways that I
Beneath the Valley of the
love that
Dolls.
film. Beneath the Valley of the
We
Dolls
covered
we
on-
also
yeah.
covered. Every one of his films that I've seen, I've absolutely loved because I've always been surprised. Because Russ Meyer, growing up, I would read about his films and I thought, what a dirty old man, what a misogynist, what a sexist, what a pig. And then I've watched the films and I'm like, these women are fucking fantastic.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, what joyful, wonderful actresses on screen. With huge breasts.
Well,
and that's the point.
yeah, I mean,
and it's like, yes.
Yeah, you get strong women, you get buckets of camp value.
Yeah.
And, you know, as proven in something like Super Vixens, for every time you get a big pair of breasts, you also get a massive penis as well.
But it's I could watch a film where there are breasts in every single scene. And if the women who are bearing their breasts are enjoying themselves and they haven't been, you know, forced into it, and they haven't been, you know, sort of pressured into doing nude scenes, and they're comfortable with it, and they're like, yeah, I've got some really big breasts, I love my big breasts, and I want the world to see them, and I want to have fun in this film. And I haven't heard anything different.
Yeah.
And that's what these films are.
Yeah.
Like, I'm a really gorgeous woman, a real sexual woman, and fuck it, I'm going to be a badass in these films. And I genuinely think and they're not the deepest characters in the world, but there's some fucking fantastic female characters in his films. A real celebration of these women.
And the releases as a whole are just fantastic. I mean, Severin, you know, they never miss. They always do such great releases. And, you know, I got them in front of me, and special features, you know, there's archived audio commentaries on them, so many interviews. Vixens has Entertainment or Obscenity, which is Mark Edward Hook on the film's historic Cincinnati censorship battles. It's just, you know, TV spots. You've got the Incredible Strange Film Shows episode for Russ Meyer on Super Vixens. They're just packed full of special features, and you heard it here first. There is, well, probably not first, but let's pretend it's an exclusive. There's more to come. Severin are doing more Russ Meyer films, and it's so exciting. We're so grateful to be sent them, and they just look stunning as well. There's always one thing with films from this era, specifically anything with a bit of sleaze or a grit to it, like these films. Texas Chainsaw Massacre would usually be my example, but I'm going to use these films right now. One thing I love about these transfers is that the grit is still there. The fuzz is still there. That sort of dirty 70s exploitation feeling is there in these films, but the 4K transfer also makes it look like it could have been made last week, and that's always my favorite type of transfer. That just keeps that authenticity in there of what it was meant to look like originally, but also makes it look really crisp and modern. And yeah, fantastic. Great transfers of free films that are must watches for anyone who loves camp. And I'm going to say it, I think it's an obvious comparison, but if you're a fan of John Waters...
Yeah, very much in the same school.
Russ Meyer.
Even
like Herschel Gordon Lewis, anything like that from around that era, these are your films, and they are available wherever you get your 4Ks and your Blu-rays from. So, there'll be more on that to come on our next Shelf Life.
Yeah, because there's some great releases coming out.
There's
I'm very excited for the
V Cinema
release from Arrow Video. Yeah. Really excited for that. But yeah, we'll keep you updated. We'll keep ourselves updated.
Yeah. And if anyone wants to send us any stuff to plug, we can provide you with camp value, charm, and pretty faces.
Yeah. Can't see our faces, can you?
Well, they're on the logo.
It's that hidden camera that I told people to get.
With this podcast, obviously, we are Rise of the Gay Cinephiles, and we've just started talking about films. We're going to talk about films even more now. And we're going to get into what we've been watching. Each episode, we will be providing 4 highlights, 2 older films that we've watched for the first time, and 2 brand new releases. And in the middle of that, we'll talk about what else I've been watching and any other topics out there as well. First up, with our first highlight, and with the highlights, we'll just be spending a little longer talking about these than we will the other films. But for the first highlight, is my highlight, and it's His Motorbike, Her Island from 1986, which is directed by the legend that is Nobuhiko Ôbayashi, written by Ikuo Sekimoto, and starring Kawako Harada, Riki Takuchi, Noriko Watanabe, and Tomokazu Mura. And the premise is, after a failed romance, a temperamental young biker meets a carefree rural girl while riding through her island hometown and gets her obsessed about riding a motorcycle. And I sit here now as someone who doesn't know anything about motorbikes, but I can tell you, this film that features a lot of motorbike scenes had me enthralled. Ôbayashi, one of my favourite director of the iconic Hausu and the Discarnates, just never misses. I think we've seen 6 of his films now. I've given all of them 5 stars, and this is my second favourite of his films. It's just, there's something about it. I have a very specific taste in films, and there's something about this film that just feels like it was made for me. It feels like Twin Peaks. Whether David Lynch watched this or not, I'm not sure, but there's just such a Twin Peaks feeling here. But the thing is, it starts off like a film noir, but then goes on to be like a take on the teensploitation films of the 50s and 60s. It just absolutely blew my mind. The cinematography is just some of my favourite of all time. Like, the way it switches between monochrome and colour in such a meaningful way that actually feels like it's given something to the film and not just there to make it stylish. It has a purpose.
Yeah. And,
it very much feels like they are this lead character's fantasies and what he expects from the world and his dreams, and then when we're in colour, it's reality, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it feels like Twin Peaks because it has the same reference points.
Yes, it does.
As Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
So it's, I think, very much a play on the teensploitation films.
It's such a play on it.
Probably the films that, the American films that Ôbayashi watched growing up, and his take on that. So with this and Twin Peaks, they're both that sort of style, but slightly offbeat. What I adore about Ôbayashi, and it's something that we're learning because we're going through his filmography, and it's quite a vast filmography actually.
It is.
We've still got quite a while to go. Is that we can say that his films are visually striking, which they are, but no 2 films feel the same.
No.
And that is incredible.
Yeah.
To be able to do that.
Yeah.
To have such striking visuals, but not feel like he's repeating himself, is really incredible, and it works for the films.
Yeah.
You know, whereas something like Housewives is completely out there.
Yeah.
In its style and in its execution, completely out there, balls to the wall, you know, crazy. Whereas his Motorbike, Her Island, is very stylish and it's a little off.
Yeah.
But it's not completely off like Housewives, and it works for the film. There's some absolutely beautiful imagery, really just phenomenal imagery. I love the soundtrack. The pop songs, the ballads throughout as well, because the cast gets singing and
the songs by the cast,
so good, so good. The characters are really compelling. Japan looks beautiful. I mean, Japan always looks beautiful on film. It really does. But it looks astonishing in this. Just really, really fantastic filmmaking.
Yeah,
really wonderful.
The humor is ridiculous, which is so Ôbayashi. You know, there are those moments in there to remind you this is the same director as Halsey, but it's so different. And like, you know, like you said, that's the same can be said for all of his films. You know, every time I watch one, it's like, oh, okay, this is his quieter, more relaxed film. But it's like, no, actually, they're just all different.
Yeah.
I mean, our lead is a James Dean-esque sentimental bad boy, obsessed with his motorbike. Very James Hurley.
Very James Hurley.
But he's really charming, really entertaining. He's a good lead. And, of course, you know, Miyoko, the character that he falls in love with, she seems like a perfect match for him, and their bond over motorbikes it's just really sweet, really sincere, and just has that sort of dreamlike energy to it that it has that sense of surrealism there, whilst also telling a story that isn't necessarily not grounded. No,
and it doesn't judge any of the characters. So Ôbayashi, I feel, was trying to sort of have a different spin on the teen exploitation, and there was, and forgive me, I don't remember the word, but in Japan there was a term for teenagers on motorbikes, and they were seen as very anti-establishment and causing problems and causing issues. And I think Ôbayashi was really looking at youth culture and saying, you're misunderstanding. These are really sweet young people who happen to enjoy motorbikes. Then they're not out to cause problems, they're not out to cause issues. You know, leave them be and let them live their lives and enjoy themselves. Whereas the we described it as teen exploitation, but the teen exploitation films was James Dean is on a ride straight to hell because he's, you know, a rebel without a cause and such. Whereas I think this takes a different look at that, but with the similar reference points to Twin Peaks. And you know, and Twin Peaks itself had James Hurley, who was a very what's the word I'm looking for? Not wet blanket, but somewhere around wet blanket. He was a bit soppy and sang with a very soft voice.
He created shoegaze,
but rode his motorbike. You know, it's a different look at it, and I think, and I keep saying it, and I'm going to keep saying it. It's an absolute masterpiece. And if Gary hadn't have chosen it, I would have chosen it as my choice for a standout this month, because I loved every second of it.
It's also incredibly melodramatic, which has been a theme for us throughout the month, but also as part of
our lives.
Yes, but also as part of Japanuary, which we were doing, and we do every year. And for highlight number 2, what we got?
So my highlight for the month, Japanuary, is Whisper of the Heart.
Yeah.
Directed by Yoshifumi Kondô, written by the little known writer-director Hayao Miyazaki, based on, is it a novel by based on the novel Mimi Osu Sumasiba by Ao Hiragi. I thoroughly apologise for my pronunciation. And voice casted by Yoko Hona, Issei Takahashi, Takashi Tachibana, and Shigeru Moroi.
Mm-hmm.
And the premise is a love story between a girl who loves reading books and a boy who has previously checked out all of the library books she chooses. It's Studio Ghibli.
It is.
It's anime. It's a Japanese animation film, and I'm going to. I don't feel like I need to sell it to you, but picture it. I'm sat there on this film. Oh, this looks lovely. Looks. I love a Studio Ghibli film. Watching it for the first time. The music starts. Oh, I recognise that song. It's "Take Me Home, Country Roads." Like, oh wow. Mum's favourite, John Denver. And if you get that reference, then good on you. And I'm like, oh, I recognise that voice. I was like, who's that? And I searched it. It's Olivia Newton-John.
It's Olivia Newton-John.
This film starts with Olivia Newton-John singing "Take Me Home, Country Roads."
Yep.
And "Take Me Home, Country Roads," which is an absolute banger, by the way. Like, a great song.
Do you mean the
Is
Club
it...
Classic DJ
No,
Otto
don't you dare.
version?
Is a huge part of this film. And it works.
Yeah.
What a beautiful, charming film. Like, really heartwarming. Studio Ghibli has a way of... The films, and it sounds like I'm being a bit over the top, but fuck it. It's my podcast. Filling a part of your soul that you didn't know needed filling. And afterwards you sit there and you've watched a film. Well, we're cinephiles, so we can be a bit over the top with these things. And you sit there and you're like, wow, I feel so warm inside. Like, not all of them.
Yeah.
Grave of the Fireflies.
That's, well, yeah.
But it's the same feeling I had with Spirited Away.
Mm-hmm.
The same feeling I had with My Neighbour Totoro.
Mm-hmm.
Totoro? Totoro?
Yep.
However, tomato. The same feeling that I had with those films. A real warmth inside. And this one maybe even more because it's so romantic and charming, and there's cats and dogs, and the stakes aren't incredibly high.
Okay, there's not just cats and dogs. There's a cat in a fucking top hat.
There is, yes.
There is a cat
and his wife with a big hat.
With his wife.
His wife's got a big hat too.
God.
But it's so charming, and obviously with a lot of, like, Spirited Away, the stakes are high. You know, am I going to see my parents again? They've been turned into pigs.
Yeah.
Whereas with this, it's a really cute love story. And yeah, okay, so a broken heart is the stakes, you know, let's be fair. But it's, you know, no one's dying, you know? But I thought it was lovely. Really, really enjoyed it. It epitomizes what I love about Ghibli. Ghibli. I'm terrible at this, aren't I?
It's also a Ôbayashi.
Thank you. I was waiting for you to tell us.
I hope I pronounced that right. It's a subgenre of Japanese animation that aims to provide a sense of healing, relaxation, and comfort. So other films that fall into this are My Neighbor Totoro, Kiki's Delivery Service, Ponyo, The Secret World of Ariete, When Marnie Was There. And you can tell the difference. You can really tell the difference. It is a calming, peaceful, relaxing film that's just so lovely in so many ways. You know, it's just such a heartwarming film. Really heartwarming themes about finding your path in life, discovering and using your talents, following your dreams. And it's all just done so well within this film, and these fantastic characters, and again the use of Take Me Home Country Roads, which feels like an extra character because of the way it's just a blanket over the film and just encapsulates everything the film's going for within this song's lyrics that was never intended to be part of this film. Yeah, just really fantastic stuff. Living for all the cats. I mean, the moody cat that she follows around.
Yes.
That's just not got the time for her. And then the top hat cat, which The Cat Returns is a spin-off based on the book written in this film. And I need to see that ASAP.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just perfection for me. I love Studio Ghibli. The more I watch of Studio Ghibli, the more it wins me over. And yeah,
I'm desperately trying not to become, and I don't know if there's a term for it. You know how there's a Disney adults? Is there a Ghibli adults?
Well,
my problem is if I become a Ghibli adult, I spend enough money on merch and Funkos and Blu-rays and vinyls, records. I spend enough money on that. I can't add to that. So I'm desperately... But there's not been a bad one in the bunch.
There hasn't been.
They're phenomenal films. Real fantastic films that I will come back to time and time again. But I can't afford to buy all the merch.
No. So what else have we been watching? Here's a quick fire because we've got a whole month. Usually we'd be doing 2 weeks.
This is a lot.
This is a fortnightly podcast, but it's been a whole month, so I'll do a quick fire. Nosferatu.
Good. I enjoyed it.
It was very good.
You loved it.
I did love it.
Yeah.
We also watched Toshiaki Toyoda's Resurrection trilogy, which was Wolf's Calling, Go Seppuku Yourselves, and Day of Destruction. For me, Go Seppuku Yourselves is a perfect short. It gets to the point. It's aggressive. It's punk. It's fantastic. My favourite of the three.
Yeah, more evidence towards what I said earlier that Japan always looks amazing on film.
It does.
Really stunning.
Not so much indoor, where we're just in an apartment for most of the runtime.
Yes.
But Door was fantastic. A really intense thriller.
Yeah, a lovely surprise, considering I was promised a slasher film as Yellow, but much more than that.
Grateful Dead was a nice little melodramatic dark comedy.
Yeah, that's alright.
Yeah. Again, quick fire round.
In one word. Can you do it in one word?
Yakuza Graveyard. Great.
Needed more... who was in it? I distinctly remember being like, I really enjoyed this, but...
Miko Kaji,
of course.
Yeah, of course. Every film
needed more Miko Kaji.
School in the Crosshairs, but let's talk about the best part of School in the Crosshairs, the use of Yumi Matsutoya's I Will Protect You.
Is that on your Receiptify?
It is, yeah.
Is
it's
really?
On my own repeat. Yeah.
Nice. I haven't done my Receiptify for January.
Well, there we go. School in the Crosshairs, fantastic. Ôbayashi,
yeah, great.
amazing.
Yeah, because some of his films are like teen films.
Yeah, coming of age.
Yeah, and coming of age films. Quite a few are actually. Yeah. I wish I'd had these when I was younger. I feel like it really would have pushed my taste in a certain direction.
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't watch Spirited Away, forgive me, until just a few years ago.
Yeah.
If I'd had that film when I was younger, I feel like it really would have pushed my taste the same way that Blue Velvet did. You know?
Yeah.
I genuinely believe that, and I wish these films were more available. Kids are so lucky these days, but they are. Like, they could watch these films and be like, oh, wow.
Sword of Doom, which is one of the more unique samurai films I've seen.
The ending really stuck with me.
Yeah.
Really a bold move. In a film that has many bold moves.
Yeah.
Because you're following someone who isn't likable.
It's true.
Which is risky.
Yeah.
And especially for 2 hours.
Uh-huh.
But it works.
Little Girl Who Conquered Time, another Ôbayashi banger.
Little Girl. Again, this one also, I think, even more than the others, would be great to put on for your kids.
Yeah,
really like a magical little. I mean, not a little film, but a magical film.
not a little film,
Not
tiny,
a little
tiny film.
You know exactly what I mean for a little girl.
Maria, or as it should be known, Maria from 5 to 7.
Yes, or it should be known as Madonna.
Yes. Who knew a biopic about Maria Callas could be so fucking good? I said that a complete unknown, which I won't be mentioning today in detail because we are discussing it a little more in detail soon.
Yes.
Was my favourite biopic of recent years, and I've been constantly going over this in my head, which one I prefer. And I prefer Maria.
Oh?
I prefer, the more I've let it digest, Maria really was so much better than it had any right to be. Again, it's not one of my highlights, but I just want to say, I don't want to just leave this here because it's so stylish, and Angelina Jolie is phenomenal, and I really fucking loved it. The more I think about this film, the more I loved it. She's followed by a twink around Paris talking about herself for the entire film, having hallucinations. That's the best way to go about a biopic. It felt like Cleo from 5 to 7, and I loved it.
And everyone was absolutely obsessed with her. And they thought she was the best thing.
Yeah, like Cleo from 5 to 7.
It's like, you're beautiful. What a beautiful singer. Which Maria Callas was. But I thought the film, I think for me the real standout is that cinematography.
It looked beautiful.
Those costumes, the makeup, the hairstyles, the interiors, the exteriors. Paris again looks beautiful on film. Well, really, I think so many films need. My story should be set in Paris.
Yeah,
Paris looks so great on film.
Would you give vocals like Angie?
I do already give vocals like Angie.
You do?
And I have a British accent like Angelina Jolie chose for Maria Callas. But we all make our choices.
Fuck, maybe it should have been a highlight. Anyway, Presence. I really, really enjoyed Presence. It's like if... it's like Paranormal Activity, which I know, stick with me, isn't the best recommendation. But shot in a style of a less chaotic Enter the Void, and just really unique, and just really enjoyed it.
It was a very interesting take on a ghost movie.
Yeah.
Ghost movie?
Yeah.
Ghost film?
Yeah.
What do you think sounds...
Haunted house movie is what I always
house. Say. But what do you think sounds more sophisticated? Film or movie? Or do you think it's the same?
Film.
Yeah, because I think it's Steven Soderbergh, so I think it's a film rather than a movie. A flick.
You were saying it's a film. It's a ghost film.
Yeah. No, I said it's an interesting take on a ghost
film.
Okay. I thought we were being quick with these things.
We are. Speaking of movies, Rebirth of Mothra was a lot of fun. Always happy to support our queen.
Yes, Queen Mothra. Glad to see her back.
Yeah.
In the 90s.
Kiyoshi.
Like First Wives Club.
Yes.
Mothra, it's the 90s.
Kiyoshi Kurosawa's Guard from the Underground, which is not what it's called. It's called The Guard from Underground. I'm thinking of Girls Aloud Sound in the Underground.
Guard the Underground.
Yeah, a really great early slasher from Kurosawa.
Yeah, it has...
shows a nice preview of what's to come.
Yeah. A good... It was his first film.
No. I think Sweet Home was his first film.
Oh, I loved Sweet Home. Yeah, this was very good though. Yeah, very, very good. Which apparently got a bad rap. I mean, it was quite low on IMDb, but I thoroughly enjoyed it.
It's a shame. The Island Closest to Heaven, which could absolutely be one of that subgenre of anime that we spoke about for Whisper of the Heart. Sweet, quiet, peaceful. Another Ôbayashi masterpiece.
Stunning.
Castles in the Sky. Again, I'm thinking of the song Castle in the Sky. Fuck's sake. Being gay is a burden sometimes, clearly. Another fantastic Ghibli anime.
I thought, and it was a difficult one to choose between this and Whisper of the Heart, but Castle in the Sky, in my opinion, is the closest a film has got to Legend of Zelda on the big screen. Really impeccable world building.
Yeah.
Like, really, I was enamored with it. It because it really pulled you in to this world, and it looked fantastic, and it looked like something from a Zelda game, like a later Zelda. I'm assuming this was an influence on Zelda games from then on.
Yeah.
You know, the 3D Zeldas.
Captain Kronos Vampire Hunter. One of the most relentlessly entertaining Hammer films I've seen. Caroline Munro, You'll Always Be Famous.
Silly as fuck. Like,
Yes.
really, really silly, but entertaining as hell.
Uh-huh.
Bit like the Ladies of Salt Lake City.
Yeah. The Colours Within, a new anime.
Ooh, yeah.
Go and see this film. Like, seriously, this has got a very limited release. But if you've got a chance to go and see it, go and watch it. It is super queer. It's very sweet, heartwarming, and just
Full of bangers.
bangers.
Absolute bangers. It's the premise is around a band or formation of a band, and their music is given 2000s indie, and I am so for it. It's the kind of it would have went multi-platinum, will go multi-platinum, but it definitely would have gone multi-platinum on my college playlist.
Yes.
Back in the day.
I think so. Dead or Alive 2, Birds. Yes, that's right. I'm only recommending the second one because the first one didn't deserve a recommendation.
Yeah, the second one was much better.
And bringing us up to date to this weekend, we have Companion, which is out now, and the reason this didn't get the highlight for me over what I did choose is only because I don't want anyone to go through what I went through and have the premise spoiled for you. Go into this film and know it as little as possible, and you'll have the best time. I still had the best time after having it spoiled for me with the stupid second trailer that apparently made the premise not a spoiler all of a sudden, which led to people talking about it without marking it as a spoiler in their letterbox reviews.
Yeah.
Seriously, if you haven't had this spoiled for you, go and see it.
I find it perplexing that the trailer would give away something that is treated as a reveal in the film. Very, very silly.
And finally, The Flower of My Secret, Pedro Almodovar, at it again in the 90s, doing what he does best, with Spanish Carrie Bradshaw in the lead. It's...
Definitely.
Oh, I loved it.
Really just a incredibly well written female lead character. Just really incredible. Part Carrie Bradshaw, part Lauren Bacall, part Kate Blanchett, part Countess Luann. Just really fantastic. I love his films. I think he epitomizes everything that I enjoy in a film. Camp value, melodrama, but real heart, bit of grit, and just incredibly well written women.
And we got to see it on the big screen.
Yes. Yeah.
Next to home.
Have we seen any of it? Is that our first of the Almodovar films?
The older ones, yeah. So we've seen Parallel Mothers in the Room Next Door.
Oh, of course. Yes, of course. But the older ones, first time.
And films aside, what else do we want to discuss? What's been going on? I think the major event that happened since Horrorcore Trash Ever ended and this first episode of Gay Cinephiles is David Lynch died.
Yes, yeah. I wasn't sure whether you're going to go with David Lynch dying or Donald Trump setting the world on fire, but I mean, let's go with David Lynch.
Yeah, both are equally upsetting. Obviously, I mean, Donald Trump even more upsetting because this will affect many lives, and oh my god, this is getting depressing, but yes. All we need to say is fuck Donald Trump.
Yeah.
That's all you need to know.
In case this you haven't listened to Horrorcore Trash Ever.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
If you're only joining us for this, let's make it very clear. Our politics, let's make that very clear. We're not going to delve into politics every episode, but fuck Donald Trump. You know where we stand.
And we hope anyone within marginalised communities in America is okay and getting through it because it's fucking shit.
Yeah.
And the UK's not much better, but there we go. But David Lynch, my favourite director, passed away sadly, and I mean, all I want to say is genuinely, director that absolutely just changed so much for me in so many different areas. I mean, beyond just his films. I mean, reading his book last year genuinely just something clicked in me after reading it. It's just a very unique human being. There'll never be anyone else like him, and a great opportunity to just say I think he is the greatest filmmaker that's ever lived, and his style will never be replicated exactly. People have come close. There have been a lot of great imitations out there, but you'll never be Lynch. There'll never be another David Lynch.
No. I said it earlier, but I'll say it again. This might seem a little over the top, but when I watched Blue Velvet, that changed the trajectory of my life. I wouldn't be sat here talking about films if I hadn't seen Blue Velvet.
Yeah.
Because I was a casual film fan and I loved films. But I watched Blue Velvet and I realised exactly what films could be and how much I could enjoy films and how films and art together can create something that feels just otherworldly in its brilliance. And it might sound a bit wanky, but it changed me. Like, I watched that film and I was like, oh my god, this is incredible. This is films.
Yeah.
I need to get on this. And I got on my laptop and I researched and I ended up buying some Criterions, and I watched my favourite film of all time, Silence of the Lambs, and then I watched my second favourite film, Three Women, and I was like, wow, this is what I want to do. This is my hobby. This is watching and learning about films. And so, it all started with Blue Velvet and Twin Peaks, and incredible filmmaker. And by all accounts, a wonderfully charming man. Away from the camera as well. Very sad loss.
And slightly more uplifting news. Get It While It's Hot has been trending recently.
Okay. Has it been trending, or has it been trending in this household?
Well, Carrie Bradshaw seems to be popular on TikTok recently. Everyone's talking about her, and it's just nice to see some Sex and the City resurgence going on.
Yeah. I have watched Sex and the City over and over and over again. And when And Just Like That comes back, I don't know, we might end up discussing it on the podcast.
I'm sure we will.
But it's been a huge part of my life because I watch it so much. And when I originally watched it, I thought, Carrie's a little annoying. And I was fine with that. Because I was like, as a self-identified Miranda, I was fine with that.
Yeah.
I was like, it's a little annoying. It's fine. And now everyone's sort of been like, actually, she's a bit annoying, but she's cringe. I don't think she's genuinely annoying. She's just very cringe.
Yeah.
Because I don't think she has that filter that stops her from embarrassing herself.
She doesn't. She's flawed, but you know what?
But we love a flawed queen.
We love a flawed queen.
If everyone was perfect, the world would be incredibly boring.
And particularly, again, I wanted to bring up Get It While It's Hot because we've obviously, we've started living in the city centre and we have pizza places near us, and Chris carried a pizza box the other week, and it just made me think of it, and since then I noticed maybe you're right then, maybe actually it isn't trending, and maybe it's trending for me. I've managed to seek it out.
Well, you know how algorithms work, don't you? The fact that you probably searched, I say probably, you definitely searched the words Get It While It's Hot, Carrie Bradshaw, so you could send it to me. That's told some big brain supercomputer that's destroying the planet, that's told that in some, far off space that you love Carrie Bradshaw memes, and now you get your Carrie Bradshaw memes.
And that was a lesson in algorithms with Chris Barker.
Well,
join in next week.
I think so.
For a lesson on how to post on social media.
I'm not
Chris Barker. And then
that's really
the week
shady.
After. No, it's not. I wasn't meant to be shady.
I'm.
Let me finish my joke. And the week after, Join us for our takedown of Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg. This has been Rise of the Gay Cinephiles.
I'm terrible at posting on social media.
Sleigh Bells are back with Want to Start a Band.
Who?
And
Sorry.
yes, the band Sleigh Bells, the iconic band Sleigh Bells.
Speaking of 2000s indie music.
And their new single is a banger. And Desire has released The Judge, which is my favourite album of the year so far. If you like indie pop, electro pop, then you know what I'm talking about. And if you don't, go and listen to it. What else we've been obsessed with? The Traitors. We've been obsessed with The Traitors.
American and UK.
Obviously, season 3 is recently finished, and we were seated for the whole thing. So much so to the point that we started America. Loving the Tom Sandoval takedown.
Yeah.
By Dolores.
We love a bit of Dolores. We gave up on New Jersey, but we never gave up on Dolores. Love Dolores. My problem with we never watched Vanderpump Rules because whatever I saw of Vanderpump Rules was really horrible men being incredibly rude and obnoxious to women, and it just never interested me. I don't know if that isn't what the show's about, then let me know.
Yeah,
but everything I ever saw was like, oh my god, why are you speaking to people like that? People speaking to people awfully, like, and it's like, oh, you're my girlfriend, and then they're like, and you're this and you're that and you're a bitch and like throwing drinks and shit, and it's like, oh, I like to see rich women at each other.
Yeah.
I don't want to see men.
But I could
talking
see
to women like that.
From the Traitors, I could see why everyone hates Tom so much.
Oh, he cheated, and he's very strange.
There's something about that guy.
I think he's trying too hard because he has to redeem his standing in the public.
Yeah.
And I think if he comes across as a little cookie and charming, and he's like really trying hard, he's like, I'm a faithful, despite the fact that I cheated on my wife and the whole world judged me for it and hated me for it.
Yeah.
Again, it's like, okay, the big story from Vanderpump Rules is him cheating on his wife. It's like, oh.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Carolyn and Dolores for the win for me.
Love Carolyn, love Dolores. You hate Boston Rob.
Get fucking Boston Rob out of there.
What I do? I love this.
I hated
America.
Tony more.
Oh.
And yeah, I hate Tony more. Sorry, spoiler shit. I hate Tony. I don't know where you are if you're listening on this, but I just put the trailers. I'm so sorry.
What I love about America is that somebody could go around calling themselves Boston Rob.
Yeah.
Yeah, and people would like, hey, it's Boston Rob. Oh, hi, Boston Rob. Hey, Boston Rob. Yeah. Whereas if you had that in the UK and somebody went around saying, oh, it's me.
Salford.
It's Luton Carl. Hey, is that Luton Carl? Like, you'd be like, no, you're a dickhead. Like, no one does that. Like, hey, is that Manchester Gary? Like, you're bellend. Shut the fuck up. I don't know why he's called Boston Rob. Survivor is...
Because he's from Boston, I assume.
Yeah, but I don't know why they felt the need to differentiate him between Milwaukee Rob or whatever. I don't know. But I just find it so funny. I genuinely find it so funny that... Because you would never be able to get away with that here. You'd be like, what are you talking about, you dickhead? No one cares that you're from Bradford. No one cares that you're from Stockport. Piss off. But yeah, he's... the Survivor didn't translate to the UK, did it?
No, and
so apparently
I'm glad.
Survivor's this huge thing. Because when they did the big reveal at one point, and it was people from... Survivor, the challenge, these shows, and you're like, oh, and they're all like, oh my god, now the real competition started. And we're like, who's that? I want Nikki Bella to win.
Yeah. So we've discussed some random stuff. We discussed what else we've
We
been watching.
have.
Do you have anything else that you want to discuss? I feel like this is like tangent therapy, this
I
section.
think so.
It's like, it gets it all out now, so we can really get to the matter
Do you know
of the
what the
subject.
problem is? I don't have anyone to talk about apart from you, Gary.
Whoa,
obviously.
hang on a minute. I was going to say.
But it feels quite cathartic to like get it out.
Anything
into
else
the
then?
open, like I'm telling. No, I don't think so.
No, don't want to talk about that evil cat Maxwell on TikTok. He just goes around terrorising other cats.
Maybe that's for another day.
Maybe we could do a whole section on Maxwell.
We could do a whole.
What's new with Maxwell?
A horrible, mean cat, and it's not often you'll hear me say that about animals. I love all animals, but this cat is mean.
He's a piece
horrible,
of shit.
really horrible. But do you know who I blame? I blame the owner
for constantly
Yeah,
sending.
of course. Sending the cat out there on camera. You're seeing all this. And you're posting it to the world, and you're like, "Oh, Maxwell's a little territorial."
It's always the top search as well on the bottom. Is always
a little temperament, getting humbled.
Maxwell gets humbled.
There's an orange cat that is
the orange
planning
cat is
to
going to
humble.
take him down.
Gonna really take Maxwell down, and I can't
really
wait.
teach him a lesson. But one of the latest videos was like a fucking horror film where he's going through a dark car park.
Oh,
Taking cats down in the dark. Like, what have they done to it? Why does he have so many anger issues?
such a beanie.
Get that cat in therapy.
Oh, it needs its food changing or something. It needs some nutrients or something. So mean.
Well, from cats to dogs.
Wait.
I had the perfect segue then. Go on. What is it?
What? It's. You could actually do a segue from Max to both of these next films we're about to discuss. So yours.
He needs some in the second one.
Try again.
From cats to dogs, my highlight for new releases in the UK is Babygirl. Do you want to do your...
Shall I?
Yeah.
Shall we do a little spoiler for the fourth film? Speaking of going around being mean to people for apparently no reason, my highlight of the new releases is Hard Truths.
Very good. It definitely makes sense. Yes, my highlight is Babygirl. Written and directed by Halina Reijn and starring Nicole Kidman, Harris Dickinson, Antonio Banderas, and Sophie Wilde. Why did I say Sophie weird? Probably the least difficult name to pronounce this entire episode. Sophie Wilde. And it's about high-powered CEO who puts her career and family on the line when she begins a torrid affair with a much younger intern. And I know what you're thinking. That sounds like a 90s erotic thriller. It's a erotic thriller. And I did... Okay. Let's talk about the elephant in the room. This hasn't had the best reception.
No,
it's
mixed bag.
Extremely mixed. Personally, I fucking adored this film. Hence why it's my highlight. There's something about this. I mean, obviously, we all know Nicole Kidman loves a Christmas erotic thriller.
She does.
This, an Eyes Wide Shut, she is the queen of Christmas erotic thrillers.
She gets to leave the house in this one.
She does. That's what's interesting for me about this film is that it's kind of like Eyes Wide Shut, but gender swap. It feels like she's got the Tom Cruise role this time around. Mm-hmm. She's got something to do, and she's doing it really fucking well. I can't believe she wasn't nominated for an Oscar for this.
Yeah.
I am fucking gutted for her. It feels like it's an erotic thriller made by someone who enjoys erotic thrillers.
Yes.
But it's camp. It's incredibly camp. It has moments of comedy in there, few and far between, but there's moments of comedy in there, and it's actually surprisingly serious. Because for me, this is a film about sexuality, shame, and power, and all of this is tied to what it is to be a woman facing all of these things. I think they're used so brilliantly within Nicole Kidman's character, and Nicole Kidman, she just commits so much to this role and makes it believable. The same with Harris Dickinson, who the chemistry between them, it's actually believable. There's actually something there. There's actually electric chemistry. Meanwhile, Antonio Banderas, on the other hand, also delivers a fantastic performance. Everyone just does such a great job here, and I've seen a few people complain that it's not kinky enough, but for a mainstream film, it's pretty fucking kinky. But no, they're not experts though.
No,
and I don't know if this is where that criticism is coming from. There is a certain sense of this is new to these characters and what they're exploring, as like an early scene where they giggle whilst trying out one of their kinks, and it does give that impression that it's new to these characters. They're not sure what it is, they're exploring it. Nicole Kidman is exploring this new side to herself that she has been missing all this time, and that sort of playfulness within those scenes, which is just directed to perfection and acted to perfection, it just adds another layer to it. It feels sincere,
Yeah, I think what the film is about, I think it's about exploring who we are and being able to do that at a later stage. I think for the Nicole Kidman character, she's gotten to an age and to a position in her life and her career where she's kind of being told what she is.
Yeah.
She's a powerful woman. She's respected for being a powerful woman, for being in charge, and it's not often you get women who are in charge of businesses.
Yeah.
She's CEO, I believe. She is married to a husband who's a successful director of theatre, and there's a moment earlier on where her kids belittle her.
Yeah.
And they make out that she is in some way monstrous because she has had Botox injections.
Yeah.
And she's ridiculed. And her husband doesn't step in.
No.
And say, "Oi, dickheads, shut the fuck up." So she's trying to figure things out, I feel. And one thing that she hasn't been able to figure out is, does she enjoy being dominated in the bedroom?
Yeah.
Yeah. And she's exploring this, and it's actually, like you said, super awkward.
Yeah.
But also, and she's having an affair, let's be honest,
Yeah.
which is, not a good thing, but it's almost endearing. And I actually kind of felt sorry for her.
Yeah.
That the world has told her that she has to be a certain person or has to be a certain way, and she's kind of missed out, or she's lived with regrets because she hasn't been able to explore this side of her earlier.
Yeah.
And I just felt that Nicole Kidman's performance and the way that she conveys that and has me on her side, really, despite her moral compass being off, I think is incredible that she was able to do that, and the film was able to do that. I don't think the film judges anyone. It lays it out for you. I don't think we needed extremely kinky sex to get it across.
No.
Do I think it's a sexual film?
It is.
I mean,
it goes
it's
further
like,
than a lot of other films
yeah.
would. In the mainstream.
Kinky sex. I don't feel that film was about kinky sex.
No, it's just a part of it.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, it's probably the part that drew people in. So to a certain extent, I get why people were disappointed if that's what they went in expecting. But I feel like it's so much more than that. There are so many more layers. There's no clear antagonist, no clear protagonist. These are just people, and it just feels like it's honest storytelling.
Yeah.
But within a camp erotic thriller, and it works. It really works. Way better than it probably should. But, you know, Nicole Kidman, she's given us sex, she's given us emotion, she's given us power, she's given us vulnerability, she's given us it all. And I really think the film is as powerful as it is because of how fucking good that performance is.
I think Nicole Kidman missed out on an Oscar nomination because Demi Moore made The Substance.
Yeah.
And I think it occupies a similar space. An actress who is... And I hate this. I hate this so much. But I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah.
But is brave enough.
Brave, yeah.
To be a certain age and to do nude scenes. And to be, you know, shown bare on the big screen.
Yes.
And in a film that talks about plastic surgery, and for Nicole Kidman to be on screen getting Botox, how brave.
Yeah.
But it occupies that same space.
But because Hollywood is such a misogynistic place, as cringe as it is that everyone calls it brave, like when a straight person plays gay, it is brave.
It is, though.
It shouldn't be at that point, but it is.
How many people have ridiculed
Yeah.
Nicole Kidman for seemingly, in their opinion, using Botox over the years? And now she's put it out there and they're like, oh.
When the real focus should be her wigs.
It should be, yes. I thought her eyebrows looked slightly different in this film.
Yeah.
I feel like... I feel like they did it differently. It's not the Botox. I think it's the eyebrows that looked slightly different.
Yeah.
In this one, there's a very specific, and I cannot remember, celebrity here in the UK that she looked like, and it was driving me insane. Obviously, beautiful, gorgeous, stunner, an all-time beauty, Nicole Kidman. But I feel like the film was much more about the kinky sex, and people were too obsessed with the kinky sex.
Yeah.
And I think the trailer maybe did it a disservice.
Yeah, I think so.
Because
it made
it look like it was an erotic thriller, which it was, but
an emphasis on the thriller.
Emphasis on the thriller.
Yeah.
And erotic in capitals. You know, when really it's more about, you know, being a woman in the world.
Yeah.
And but also the film, I think, so wonderfully demonstrated consent.
It did, yeah. And I think the sex scenes, I think they're phenomenal. Because there's such a specific focus with the cinematography and where that camera's going. And it is on Nicole Kidman and her pleasure.
Yeah.
I don't know if a film has done that before.
No.
To such a length where it's always Nicole Kidman that the focus is on. And you know you're watching an erotic thriller made by a woman.
Yeah.
When you get something like that. And the soundtrack's amazing. We all know the father figure scene.
Yes.
But also the use of In Excess, Never Tear Us Apart, and Dancing on My Own by Robin. It's just, yeah. And also, what we should have spoke about in the Let's Discuss section, Sky Ferreira's Leash. What a fucking top tier banger.
Yeah, great song. Yeah. Yeah, great song.
But I love Babygirl, and I am gutted that it wasn't nominated at the Oscars. And I can say the exact same thing about the film that you're about to tell us about.
Yes, there we are. Yes, my highlight of new releases is Mike Leigh's Hard Truths.
Yeah.
Again, like I just said, written and directed by Mike Leigh, starring Marion Jean-Baptiste, Michelle Austin, David Webber, and Twain Barrett.
Yep.
The film is about Pansy, who's angry and depressed, and she lashes out at family and strangers. Her constant criticism isolates her, except from her cheerful sister Chantal, who remains sympathetic despite their differences. Marion Jean-Baptiste, phenomenal. Knocks it out of the park. Incredible performance.
This is on another level.
This is really stupendous acting. Because it's a film that goes from laugh out loud hilarious to incredibly sad, heart-wrenching. It's a dramedy. It's a dramedy.
It's a dramedy. A kitchen sink dramedy, nonetheless, because Mike Leigh.
Yeah. It feels so real, despite Pansy being, I think, a larger-than-life sort of character. I think we see aspects of people we may know in Pansy, but I don't think there is anyone like Pansy, or at least I don't know anyone who is 100% like Pansy. Thank God, because she is a horrible woman, from the outside, and I think the film looks at Pansy and the reasons why she's like that. Why is she so angry with the world? What is she dealing with that she takes it out on everyone?
Yeah.
Does it say Pansy is going about this the right way? Absolutely not. Does it say that Pansy probably needs some help? Absolutely.
Yeah.
And she isn't getting the help that she needs. And I just think it was really just an incredible film. It really stuck with me.
Yeah.
I thought the performances... I actually think Michelle Austin was
phenomenal.
Phenomenal. David Webber as Pansy's husband.
Yeah. I mean, the film has no specific plot. We are just watching her going about her day-to-day life. So,
and the way that people react to her.
And that's why those performances are so important.
Yeah, the way her family reacts to her. The way that professionals are forced to react to her. And the way that the general public react to her.
Yeah.
And it's infuriating at times because characters don't always make the right decisions.
No.
But more than anything else, it feels real.
It does.
And these characters feel real. And I am invested in their story. I'm invested in Pansy. I do want what's best for her. But I also want what's best for her family. And I highly recommend the film. Secrets and Lies is one of my absolute favourite films of all time. I love that film. Mike Leigh is a genius. Mike Leigh is able to take what may seem everyday and create incredible art out of it. And I think he's knocked it out of the park again.
Yeah.
I love this film so much.
Yeah, I mean, I've only seen Secrets and Lies when it comes to Mike Leigh, but it works as a great companion piece.
Yeah.
Even if you just want to see the versatility in Marion Jean-Baptiste's acting.
Yeah.
Like, because, I mean, these two roles couldn't be any further apart from each other.
Really, yeah.
You know, both equally interesting, but both so different. With the one thing in common is that she just delivers powerhouse performances.
Yeah.
But this is just, it's just raw, it's honest, it's compelling, it's hilarious, but it's heartbreaking as well. You know, there are so many things to look into here, you know, when you look at one generation and what, you know, where she's come from and her family and her upbringing and how it affects the family that she's got, and it deals with this in such a really well-paced and just perfectly put together way that it really just makes great use of its perfect runtime, might I add.
Yeah.
It didn't feel the need to be too... This is the thing. You know, again, if you listen to Horror Culture Shiver, you know one of our bugbears is making films really long for no purpose. Mm-hmm. This is 97 minutes. It didn't need to be any longer. It didn't need to be any shorter. It was perfect. Everything was dealt with. You know, films these days, they feel the need. They have to be 2+ hours long. But you don't.
No.
You can tell a well-rounded story.
Absolutely.
Within 97 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I highly recommend it. I think it's such a shame that it hasn't been better represented at the awards season. Marion Jean-Baptiste has been nominated for a BAFTA, as has Mike Leigh for Best British Film. I hope they win.
Yeah.
Because I thought this was great. It peels the layers back on a character that we would be so quick to... If trust and believe.
Yeah.
If we knew Pansy in real life, if I worked with Pansy or if I'd met her and been at the receiving end of one of her tirades at the supermarket, I'd come back and I'd be like, I met this horrible cow at, you know, Farm Foods today. What horrible bitch, you know? And I would do and say that. But this peels back that. And we all have... And I need to reword this. We all have... No.
A bit of pansy in you.
A bit of pansy in
Yeah, well...
We all have
many meanings there for you.
We all have a bit of pansy in us from time to time. Yeah. And maybe, you know, we could look at our own sort of emotions and the reasons behind that. And yeah, I thought it was phenomenal.
So those are our highlights. That's what we've been doing. That's what we've been watching, and everything else that we've discussed.
Yes.
And before we end the episode, here's a little preview of what's coming soon. Over the next 2 weeks, we have planned to see Saturday night, The Last Showgirls, September 5, Bridget Jones, Mad About the Boy. Oh, mad I am. Captain America, Brave New World. Very brave. Heart Eyes, Memoir of a Snail, Seed of the Sacred Fig, but those last two won't be discussed on the next episode because episode 3 will be an Oscars special, where we'll be discussing everything we've watched for this year's Oscars, and it pretty much will be everything.
It's going to be really, really close, because I can sense that you've been listening and you've been screaming at us. You've been like, Gary, what did you think of A Complete Unknown?
Yeah. Real Pain. What did you think of A Real Pain?
Chris, what did you think of Nickel Boys?
Yes.
And we will let you know. So yes, we've missed quite a few films out.
Just so we could do an Oscar special.
So we could do an Oscars special.
But yes, until that point, you can find us on all social media by searching the name. Actually, no, which one are you most excited for out of those coming up? For me, it's obviously The Last Showgirl.
Yes.
I'm excited for Bridget Jones. We didn't enjoy the second one, but this looks fun.
I'm struggling to remember what you said.
Heart Eyes, Saturday night.
What do you think I'm most looking forward to?
The Last Showgirl.
Yes.
It's the last. Yeah, of course, it's The Last Showgirl. But I'm very excited for Heart Eyes, I must say.
Hard Ties.
Heart Eyes.
Oh.
Eyes with Hearts. The slasher film.
Heart. Yeah, I didn't even know that was a thing. And then suddenly the trailer popped up and I pressed play and I was like, oh, what's this? And isn't it written and directed by
Kennedy.
Who?
Michael Kennedy, who did... I think he's written it. He did Freaky.
Oh, yeah.
It's a Wonderful Knife.
Oh, yes. So very much looking forward to that. I genuinely thought you said Hard Ties. I was like, what the fuck is Hard Ties? Is there a film called Hard Ties?
No, but it sounds like you're gonna make it. It's also written by Christopher Landon.
That's who.
Directed by Josh Rubin. Yeah, I'm so excited for that. But yes, you can find us on all social media by searching the name of the podcast, Rise of the Gay Cinephiles. And if you could go give us a rate, review, and subscribe wherever you're listening to this, we'd be so grateful. For us, we'll be back at the same time in the same place in 2 weeks' time.
Yes, thank you for listening. Thank you for sticking with us after our little break after Horrorcore Trash Over finished. I hope you enjoy listening to us talk absolute shite about films and campy stuff. And
let us know if you enjoyed it. And if you didn't, if you've got feedback, we'll take any that you're willing to give.
Absolutely.
We'll be back in 2 weeks' time.
Bye.